Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this Tuesday talk. Today is, let's see here, January 14th, 2025. So this is our first Tuesday talk of the year, and we're starting it off with a really important person, Margaret Haynes, our president and CEO. So excited to visit with you today, Margaret. But
Thank
before we
you.
get started, like to cover housekeeping items for our audience that has joined us live today. So if this is your first rodeo for a Tuesday talk, there is a Q&A button either at the top or bottom of your Zoom screen that you can click on, and you can type in a question. We love audience participation, so as Margaret and I are visiting over the course of the next half hour, whatever the topic may be, if it's off topic, and you have a question, please type it in and ask the question. Don't be shy. We love audience participation. It makes the conversation flow. So please participate if you have joined us live. And if you're watching this on a recorded basis, thank you for watching the recording. Okay, so Margaret Haynes, as I'm sure if this isn't your first rodeo, you have seen me interview Margaret before. Margaret is our president and CEO. Thank you for joining me today, Margaret.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah.
Yes, so very first Tuesday talk of 2025. Let's start on that note. As we had a wonderful year in 2024 and we're looking ahead at 2025, maybe just kind of gather your thoughts and tell our audience today, where do we even begin and how do we kind of wrap up 2024 and what are the immediate, needs for 2025 and what we're starting on now? And just, I know you can talk about that literally all day long, but try to give us a general summary if you can, please.
Yeah. So it's always hard to try and sum up a year, and especially such a great year like what we had in 2024. Although you would think I'd get kind of used to it because we've had some really good years.
Yeah.
But because there's just so many markers moving in the right direction and driving the success of the overall franchise network, which is so exciting. So yes, 2024 was a great year. When I look at the different kind of markers that we track throughout the year to say how healthy is the network. Again, if we were at the doctor and having our health check done, we'd get all A's or all, green check marks. So number of caregivers working is going up. Number of clients being served is going up. The growth of our franchise network itself, phenomenal year of adding new territories in 2024. So Jen, you and your team, we've talked about and given accolades so well deserved because we had a goal of 24 and you ended up doing 37, I think it was the final count at the end of the year. And that's just absolutely amazing and speaks to volume of the health of the network. Obviously, because that is a lot of things that come together when someone's trying to decide, do I join this network? They're going to talk to people that are in the network, and we have happy franchisees. So we do our annual survey, and we got those results towards the end of last year because that helps feed what we can focus on this year. And again, we have a very positive environment. So all of that leads to, yes, all the markers from a growth perspective are moving in the right direction. So that's really exciting. But 2024 was also a really big year of some big initiatives that are flowing into 2025 that, again, are focused on helping our franchisees build sustainable, profitable businesses in their local markets. And one of the key things that we introduced in 2024 was this CRM project. And it has lots of tentacles to it because of the provider that we're using has lots of capabilities. So we're really kind of switching out some different elements, the plumbing, I would say, in the house, only because it gives more. It's an upgrade, right? We're kind of remodeling to love our house even better. And so with that is like our intranet and how our franchisees can access best practices and whatnot. We're putting it on a new system that makes it even better. But then the CRM itself is a key element that franchisees will now be able to start using that just helps automate some of that day-to-day task work of engaging on a regular basis with referral sources and with clients and client family members. And just, kind of leaning into not kind of, actually leaning into the
Yeah.
technology that's out there and the new functionality. And certainly also in 2024, AI made a big splash across all industries. And so we're keeping our finger on the pulse on that and looking at ways in which that will help drive um, growth. I think the initial uses of AI that we'll see in 2025 will be more driving operational efficiency, and that's a good thing. So we've always used different technology, and AI is not completely brand new as of last year. That certainly has been embedded in some of the core operational technology that we use today to help with caregiver matching and client matching. But as I looked at 25, I'm excited for continuing to build out these tools that are going to continue to enhance each franchisee's ability to grow their business in their local market. Because at the end of the day, we're just really focused on living out the mission and making sure that we're touching as many lives as possible. Because we know from either personal experience in using the service or in hearing from clients and their families and the caregivers that provide that compassionate care, what a difference home care makes in someone's life.
Yes. Okay, great. And you that was all of your answers are great, but it's like you're kind of in my brain because I have some questions teed up, and where I was headed was, and you've already answered the question. So looking at upcoming trends, current trends, what's happening out there in the world of home care, you have identified a couple of pretty key things. The CRM and artificial intelligence, how AI plays
Yep.
into pretty much everything that we do,
Yeah.
but specifically the CRM, not just like, hey, this is a place that you can go to for resources, and this is the software that you can use to stay organized. These projects were put together, and this was implemented to create operational efficiency. So it's
Right.
more than just a software and a tool to help. This is something that was well thought out, and it's being incorporated with our corporate team as well as our franchise system. Of course, with any big rollout, there's a progression to that, and there's like a pilot group, and we want to make sure everything is working and functioning properly before a big rollout. But this has been a very big project, but such an impact it's going to have on our franchise owners and really the kind of the future of this business and our franchise system. So I did
Yeah.
just want to kind of
Yep.
add that to it as well. Okay, a common question that we get on the franchise development team that I wanted to ask you, and we pride ourselves on being a very transparent business and company, and we like to call these things gifts. Challenges in the industry. Of course, there are a lot of really awesome things happening in home care and right at home. But what would you say are a couple of the key challenges that we faced in 2024 and how we're addressing them in 2025, specifically to right at home or just in the home care industry in general?
Yeah, I think with any industry, there's always going to be challenges, and with any company.
Yeah.
When I think about 2024 and some of the things that we tried to tackle, coming into 2024, there was kind of a shift from 2023 where a lot of offices were saying, "I just can't get enough caregivers. I can't get enough caregivers." We're seeing that shift to where they have enough caregivers and they have clients, and now it's more of a balance. So when you're running a home care company, you're always going to be hiring caregivers and you're always going to be adding in new clients because clients' needs are changing and your caregiver staff, some of that workforce will move around. And ultimately, they need to work for the company that's going to have the hours it provides. So we're always kind of working that puzzle piece. I would say going into 2024, if you had to put a percentage to it, it was a bit more towards caregivers and less towards clients. So maybe 70-30.
Yep.
Coming into 2024, that shifted more to get more back to a 50-50
Yep.
kind of arrangement. And back in the day when home care first started, it was like 80% trying to just find clients because they didn't know about home care,
Yep.
and 20% on caregivers because you had lots of caregivers that were wanting for work. So it's a dynamic in the aging of the industry that we are constantly looking at. So in 2024 was getting back to, okay, you've got caregivers, but the caregivers 1 hour. So you need to have your clients, and coming out of the pandemic. And I hate to even talk about that, but during that time frame, you couldn't go out. I call it boots on the ground in your local community. You couldn't walk into an assisted living facility or a skilled nursing facility, or all of what we call different types of referral sources that can help you identify clients that could leverage the benefit of the services provided by Right at Home. So now we've shifted our focus, and we put more focus. There's always been some, but even more intense focus around the sales process, because we've got to learn new habits from things that we got away from at a time when we weren't able to do some of those traditional things. And so we've brought in some really wonderful talent on the corporate side to be able to lead that sales focus. We have a sales program that we help our franchisees learn and understand, and then hopefully they're training their salesperson. When they're first starting out, typically the franchise owner is going to be that sales individual, so they're getting that training, but eventually they want to be the manager of that salesperson, and also helping them understand, how do you manage a salesperson. So I think there in 2024 a shift of now more equal firing all the time around, how do I get more clients and how do I get more caregivers. And the great news is that there's so much demand out there. Now, the biggest governor to growth is going to be the caregiver side. That is talk about that being supply. And that is a math problem that we know with this booming population that's going to need our services, that there isn't going to be enough caregivers. I mean, if we could just magically pour water on a magic bean and a caregiver were to grow, we'd be doing that, right?
Yep.
So the workforce in itself is not just a home care industry thing. It's a complete business thing, that we've got individuals that are going to be retiring, and there's not the same size workforce behind them to come in and take those jobs. And that's where technology comes in, is going to help us with. So we're also in 2024, we were working hard on saying, what are some other technologies in the home that might be able to help us provide that peace of mind to that family member, to that loved one, when the caregiver isn't there, to give kind of that more holistic kind of view. And that's really exciting as well.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to get back to a couple of, I don't want to say basic questions, but a question that we get often that I haven't asked you in a while. And I think it's important to address for our listeners. As you know, Right at Home is an owner-operator business model. So if you could, please explain why that is and why it's so important when you first join the Right at Home system, that owner is the operator of the business, and why it is that way and why it's so important.
Yeah, I think when you think about our industry as, what we do, we are providing a very personal service to someone. You're going into their home or wherever they might call home. They may be in a facility, but you're coming in alongside them and that family, if they have family, to say, how can I further assist you? And that's a very personal decision. And so it's so important that our franchisees are owner operated mindset, because they have to be able to build relationships. People want to do business with individuals that they trust, that they can see in their eyes when they meet them that, yes, you are going to care for my loved one, because it's a really personal and sometimes tough decision for families. And so being that active owner, you're able to set the tone, set the culture within your local community to say, I'm here to help you age gracefully wherever you want to go home. That's not something that you can just hire someone on the street and say, hey, come in, be really passionate about seniors and build this business for me. It takes an owner coming in and saying, I want to make a difference in the world. I want to have a job with significance. I want to own a company that gives people jobs that provide significance. And that's what we do. Because as a franchise owner, as a business owner in Right at Home, you will find that you will touch lives in such a meaningful way. And it's not just the clients that you get to care for, but it's their family members. It's the caregivers you get to employ. and, allow them to have, meaningful employment and be able to put food on their table. And it's the staff members that ultimately you'll hire as your business grows, that you'll give them, a great place and a great culture to be a part of. And at the end of the day, then you're just helping people age gracefully.
Yes.
Our mission's to improve the quality of life for those that we serve. I can't think of a better mission to get behind, and
Yeah.
one that gets you excited every morning to get up and make a difference.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And
Yeah.
while you were answering that question, another question came in. Let me read it to you. It says, what marketing services or assistance does the corporate office offer for franchisees to help grow clients and caregivers?
Yeah, really great question. So, we are starting with you right out of the gate. So, in terms of marketing, we'll get your website set up for you when you're here for what we call our residence week, where you come to Omaha and get educated. And it's kind of like drinking by a fire hose, but we help you with that to make sure it's more like a garden hose instead of a fire hose. We'll take your picture. We'll do all those things to bring your website to life. We have just initial packet of things that we'll give you that you can use in your market. So you've got your business cards and all those things. But then we have an entire team that's all they're focused on is helping the franchisees be really successful in marketing their business. So we've got all the best practices, not just the website, but we've got a team of website specialists that are assigned to each franchise owner to keep that fresh and to work with them to say, what are you doing locally? And let me help you bring it to life from an online perspective. And then as a company, we have a brand fund that is managed by the Strategic Leadership Council. And that council is made up of franchise owners that have been elected by their regions. They work directly with our marketing department, which is led by our chief marketing officer. And they make decisions of how can we do national marketing campaigns that then makes the phone ring and sends leads into those local markets. And then there's lots of other things we do, even on the caregiver side, and helping you start to get caregivers identified. We help with that aspect to make sure that throughout the journey of you as a business owner in the Right at Home system, that you are firing in all cylinders. And we use some other third parties that support our marketing team to be able to do, your pay per click campaigns and all that. And we give you guidance so that you put your marketing dollars to work as hard as they can for you versus, trying something. We can give you lots of guidance on what really works and what doesn't. And it's not necessarily one thing works across all markets. And so we really try to tailor and have the conversation specific to yours.
Yes. And I want to add to that. It terrifies me if I were to start my own business from scratcheroo. I'm not a marketing expert. I wouldn't know what to do. So I do want to point out, so many people that join the Right at Home system don't have marketing experience, but you're joining a franchise system. So you not only have a person, you've got quite a few people here who are there to help you with exactly that. I wouldn't know where to begin. So I'm going to have a team of people supporting me with that initiative, marketing. How do I market my business? Where do I market my business? Where do I spend those dollars? Wouldn't know where to even start. So just want to point that out. Like, this is why you're joining a franchise system, is that you're going to have a lot of help and support and guidance from this wonderful team here. Okay.
Well, and Jen, it's a great point that you brought up, because so maybe I am an owner coming in and I do have a lot of marketing experience, but I don't have a lot of experience maybe with HR. Or I don't have a lot of experience with just running a business. And that's where, to your point, that's why you join a franchise network, because we have all those subject matter experts, right, around the different topics. Because at the end of the day, we just want you to build a sustainable, profitable business. And so we can plug in wherever you need us to plug in.
Yes. Okay. Great segue into this next question that came up that somebody typed in while you were answering that question. It says, I don't have a lot of business experience. Will you provide training on financials, human resources, scheduling, etc.?
Absolutely, absolutely, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we do. We have all those subject matter experts out there. So that's what I love about franchising. And what I love about the way that we approach bringing new franchise owners on board is we want to get to know and understand, okay, what are your strengths? Because we all have them. And whether you think you have a connection, like you may have never been part of home care before, nothing in healthcare, you're in some other industry and you decide, I just want to do this. I'm passionate about it. I guarantee you, we'll show you that your past experience, that line that connects, that's going to help you, start your business and be able to run your business. And so we have business coaches that come alongside. They too are focusing on complementing what your skill sets are as you start to grow your team. They can give you guidance around things to think about as you're starting to bring in individuals, because as you grow a business, you want to bring people in that play to your strengths or weakness, however you want to think about, that are complementary as you're building out your team that's going to allow you to continue to grow your business. So we are here in all aspects. And again, we get up every day thinking about how can we help you build a sustainable, profitable business.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Next question here. It says, how do you help me network with other franchise owners?
Oh, we love to network. So hopefully it started with going through the discovery process, right? With working through the development team, you're starting to network because we give you a list of all the franchise owners and we can help you. Like if you've got a particular interest or you want to know owners that have certain whatever experience, we can help guide you to certain, but you could also just randomly pick a name and call them and start engagement. And that's what I love about our franchise network as well, is they're so giving of their time. So that's like the first probably introduction you have into networking with franchisees. But as you go into a market, there'll be an announcement made and introductions made through your business coach to the owners that are around you in your surrounding areas. So people understand you're there, you can connect and certainly learn from each other. During the training itself, you're going to get engaged with lots of owners that are either going through the process with you or maybe some office staff from some existing locations that are going through the training. You're going to get networking there. We do Zoom calls. We call them Takeoff Tuesdays every Tuesday. Most Tuesdays, I shouldn't say every, because sometimes there's holidays and whatnot that get in the way.
Yep.
But it's best practice sharing. So we do a lot of collaboration there. We'll spotlight some franchise owners. They may be talking about a particular topic. We've got what we call performance groups that you'll probably hear a lot about as you work through the process or if you talk to franchise owners, which is another way to collaborate. And then we've got our annual conference. There's just so many different ways for you to stay engaged. And that's what we want. We want owners that become part of the system and then actually be engaged in the system. And that's something that I think makes our system so strong, is we've got really engaged owners.
Yes. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And we only have, I do have a question that I wanted to ask you that I haven't asked you in a while. We have just a few minutes left here. Okay, for those that are listening, as part of the education approval process with Right at Home, you're going to do an FDD review with one of our development directors. As part of that FDD, we talk about a company called IMC. So this is our ownership group. Sometimes people refer to this group as a private equity firm or private equity owned. So Margaret, I would love for you to explain what that relationship is, because sometimes people can kind of get this negative feeling, Right at Home, it's private equity owned. I've heard horrible stories about that relationship and that structure and what are the plans. And it's an FAQ that we get often. So I'd love to just hear maybe a little bit of a summary of who IMC is and kind of what that relationship looks like and how it's so very different from kind of like the what people generally think about a private equity owned relationship.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I have to smile when you're starting to explain it, because so IMC, that stands for Investors Management Corporation. They're based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. So they purchased Right at Home. Essentially, RiseMark is our parent company with Right at Home. I call it a power strip, plugs into plus our international, all that.
Yep.
So they purchased us in 2016. They are private. and they have equity, but they're not private equity. They
Mhm.
call themselves long-term buyers. They think about 100-year plans.
Yep.
And so they were originally started by James Maynard. James Maynard started Golden Corral. Golden Corral just celebrated, I think, 52 years
Yeah.
of existence. And that's just unheard of,
Yep.
for a restaurant concept, much less, a franchise concept that, has just grown leaps and bounds.
Sure.
So he started it and then wanted to add in some additional companies. So they have different verticals that they have some companies. We reside in a vertical of the healthcare side along with IDOC. And they have 7 other companies, I believe, at the moment that they are part of. And again, these companies have been with them a long time. We've obviously been with them. It'll be 10 years next year that we've been a part of IMC. They are not private equity in the sense of when you think about some of the other private equities out there, where
Sure.
their goal is, buy a good company, squeeze out as much profitability out of it so that then they can do a turn of that company in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yep.
IMC doesn't talk about that at all because, again, they are 100-year plan. So they're asking me to think long term, where are we going? And
Yep.
when you talk about strategic planning, we work off of a 3-year horizon only because things are changing so fast.
Sure.
But it's such a blessing to be a part of the IMC family because we don't have the pressure of having to make short-term decisions because we're looking for a turn. They are actually right alongside with us and supporting what strategy we bring forward to say, hey, I want to invest this year in this because this is going to pay off dividends down the road. They simply want to touch as many lives as possible. They're all about people and having an incredible impact on in the communities where their businesses operate. And they're in for the long haul. And I absolutely feel absolutely blessed that I get to be part of that IMC family, because it is very different than when I talk with some of my peers in our industry,
Yep.
and what's top of mind for them is very different than what's top of mind for me.
Okay. Perfect. That was a perfect summary.
Yeah.
All right. So we just have a few minutes left.
Okay.
Time flies when you're having fun. As we before we part ways here, any final thoughts that you have for our viewers or listeners today?
Well, so it's a new year, and so maybe they're thinking, "Gosh, is this my year? Is this my year to actually go in business for myself?" Or maybe I've been in business for myself, but I want to switch industries. And I would just say, if you are passionate about helping people age gracefully, you're passionate about bringing a positive impact to your local community, I can't think of a better industry. And then if you are passionate about senior care and supporting adults with disabilities, then I can't think of a better brand. And yes, I am biased, but certainly from a right at home perspective, uh, I, the relationship that we have with our franchise owners, the mutual respect, I think is second to none. And it's tied to a culture that was started back when Alan Hager first started the company,
Yep.
started in 95 and started franchising in 2000, and then it's continued along. And it's just, I love getting up and coming to work every day and knowing that we're creating a great impact. And so if you're wanting to do that, you've got a brand here that's going to come alongside you and help you be as successful as possible.
That's great. Great answer. Thank you so much, Margaret. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day
Oh,
to visit with me. I appreciate you, and I know that our listeners do as well.
my pleasure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have a great day. Thanks
Thank
again.
you.
Bye.
Bye.